Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey, as we are bringing you the sights and sounds of the 2023 girls soccer season here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. So glad that you could join us again for another season of our broadcast coverage of Bridgman Athletics. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by my producer, Dimitri Nanis. We're so glad again to be here on a day that has drifted back and forth between rain and sun, and now just a little bit of a misting before we get underway for this big North American Division soccer showdown in girls soccer between the visiting Scarlets of Ridgefield Park. 0-3-1 on the season, taking on the Fort Lee Bridgman, 1-1 on the year. Fort Lee is coming in off a high-scoring defeat here at home in their home opener against Dwight Morrow on September 12th. They lost to the Maroon Raiders 7-6 to suffer their first loss of the season after they had a thrilling start to their 2023 campaign with an 8-1 win on the road at Dumont. For Ridgefield Park, they've already gotten 4 games into their season. They began their season on the road, losing to Ramsey, and then tied Cliffside Park before then losing to Dwight Morrow and Midland Park. So they're going to be trying to snap a 2-game losing streak coming into play today. And also they're going to be trying to snap a long losing drought against Fort Lee. They have not defeated the Bridgman program since September 16th of 2016. They have lost 11 straight meetings against the Bridgman, and they're going to be trying to stop that recent trend here today and pick up a road win in the process. Amanda Lax is the head coach of Ridgefield Park, and Cal Pagano is in his 8th season as the head coach here at Fort Lee. He led the Bridgman to the American Division title back in 2020. Fort Lee's going to be in their home black kits with an orange trim on the shorts. And in their road red with the white numerals is Ridgefield Park. So again, a little bit of a mist coming down as we're about to get underway here this afternoon. Masaka Kasahara is the goalie for Fort Lee, and Ava Capurso is in the net for Ridgefield Park. Going over to the near side, getting a touch of it was Lacey Barrick. Barrick with 1 goal, 3 assists on the season, number 8 in black. The one to watch certainly for Fort Lee is the dynamic number 10, Alexa Castro. Castro already with 10 goals, 2 assists for 22 points in 2 total games this season. She is one of the most dynamic scorers in all of Bergen County. Last season, Castro, as a sophomore, registered 28 goals on the season, already has over 100 points in her illustrious career, and again, she has just gotten her junior campaign underway. As the rain starts to fall a little steadier now, and the umbrellas start to come out for the patrons here at the Sugarman Sports Complex, as they try to link up to the top side, and stepping up to power that one forward to the midfield was Ridgefield Park. With possession, Angelina Viate, the sophomore. Shot from the distance, parried away. So already, Fort Lee trying to get in the scoring category here and get off to a hot start. That was Castro up top, number 10. Castro feasted in this matchup a season ago. She had a pair of 3-goal games in the 2 contests against Ridgefield Park. 6 goals on the season against the Scarlets. Valadares, number 10 in red, was trying to track it down after having that initial possession. Played along the near side flank, just a little too long, so Fort Lee not able to track it down, as that'll go out for a goal kick. Last season, Ava Capurso was very busy in the 2 matchups against Fort Lee. She produced 39 saves. 39 saves in 2 games against Fort Lee. For some keepers, that's maybe a half a season total. She had it in 2 contests. And despite the 39 saves, Fort Lee was still able to produce 13 goals in 2 games against their rivals. Take it to the midfield, played forward there. Nadia Otuleu, number 20, the sophomore, was the one who had that initial possession and tried to play the pass long for Ridgefield Park. She had a goal against Fort Lee a season ago. Skittered away and then intercepted. Isabella Gomero, number 18, playing it backwards now. Andrea Blandon. Chested down to the far side by the Bridgeman in the defensive end of the field. Altu Yelu was trying to get to it in the far side, and that's going to be played out of bounds to the far side. That's going to go out for a corner. First corner of the game for either team. That's going to be handled there by the Scarlets in the far end of the field. Service inside the box. Trying to find their striker in front. The tip in and the goal. And Ridgefield Park has scored for the first time here this afternoon right off the set piece. They get that one cross. It looked like it might have been Andrea Blandon, the senior midfielder, who got a piece of it in front of the nets, and the Scarlets have staked themselves out to an early 1-0 advantage. So Fort Lee, despite getting off to a great start offensively this season, they have had their struggles, certainly coming off that last game when they surrendered 7 goals. Now here today, they surrender a goal less than 5 minutes into the start of play, and they trail 1-0. Trying to deliver a crossing pass across the middle of the box, but that's going to be gobbled up by Capurso. Sent back down to the midfield. Headed forward there by Fort Lee. Trying to take that to the near side. Violate sending it forward, and again, Capurso is just going to dive on it. 1-0 the lead for the visitors, again scoring off the first set piece of the game off the corner on the far side wing. Fort Lee trying to win back the possession, and they do so. Over to the near side, it's Haley So. So, number 19, one of the senior captains of this team for the Bridgemen. So, with 7 assists, leading facilitator of the offense this year. Monteleone trying to chase it down, number 3 in red, as that's just going to be played harmlessly out of bounds to the near side for the Bridgemen. So, it's going to be a throw-in now for Ridgefield Park, trying to increase their 1-goal advantage so far here in the first half. Last meeting came on October 11th in 2022. Fort Lee won here 6-1. They also won 7-2 on the road last season at Ridgefield Park. It's one of the rare times that they have to actually play from behind here against the Scarlets. Taken down by the near side corner, still with possession inside the field. That's Castro. Again, was trying to maneuver in tight quarters and touched it last as it went out of bounds past the end line. Will go out for once again another Ridgefield Park goal kick. Last season, Ridgefield Park finished 4-11 overall. They were tied for 4th in the Big North American Division with Dumont. Here's So, dribbling into space and passing it to her teammate. Latte, again over to the far side. That's Ricochet, last touch off of Fort Lee, out of bounds to the far side. It's going to be Ridgefield Park with possession. About 65 degrees at opening kickoff, and there was no rain, but there's rain now. The rain playing in a factor here for Ridgefield Park. Looks like the player was trying to throw it back into the course of play, but because of the precipitation on the ball, it actually slipped out of her hands. She was allowed to do a redo here by the official on the far side, and now we're back to the course of play. Here's Haley So. Nice maneuvering in the top of the box, trying to feed it in a tight window over to the near side. It was deflected away by the Ridgefield Park defense. So was trying to get it to Lacey Barrick up top. So now Ridgefield Park trying to clear it out of their own defensive end, but again, a misplay. Allows Fort Lee to play it long, but again, a little too far as they chase down possession right in front of the opposing sideline. Let's move it on the far side, again trying to link up top. You know that there's going to be constant attention being played to number 10 in black, with Castro being such a prolific goal scorer. Chested down and played forward again. So the Fort Lee defense being aggressive here in the early goings. They've moved that back line forward to contend with any type of carom and pass that is getting their way. As again, Fort Lee will look to throw it back into the course of play. Coming up on 9 minutes gone by here in a soggy first half of action. Thanks so much for joining us on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Back for our extended coverage of the entire 2023-24 school year. Barrick trying to win back possession, and she does. Barrick with the centering pass to So. So's trying to leave it off to the near side. Castro was not able to track it down. Now Castro wins back possession. Inside the box. Dribbling up a storm, trying to find a little space. Castro making it look so easy the way that she just has that on a string, the way she can dribble. The feed is to Castro. 3 different defenders watching her. She turns and fires. Then the tip in off the deflection goal. And Fort Lee has drawn level at 1-1. And it looks like it's number 5, Elda Shuki, the junior, who's the beneficiary of that shot that was parried away off the save of Ava Capurso. Went to the far side, and an opportunistic finish there for number 5 in black, as she pounced on that rebound and cashed in afterwards with the goal. So with 30-22 left to go in the first half, it's a 1-1 score as the sky starting to lighten up a little bit with some sun out of the distance. Fort Lee gets on the board here for the first time this afternoon. Ball was left behind, and again, in pinballs around, and eventually find its way to Castro, who gets that dispossessed from her by Gomero. Fort Lee knotting up the score at 1-1. Again, Castro had a blistering shot that was saved with one hand by Capurso, but she saved it over to the far side rather than trying to save it straight ahead. And Fort Lee was able to cash in again. Good accuracy on that rebound finish. Now up top. Otu Yellow going for a run with it. Playing it back up top. Valadares, and there that shot wide of the mark to the near left side. As that'll go out for a goal kick. Kashahara, 4 saves in the loss against Dwight Morrow. Had 2 saves in the win in the first game of the season against Dumont. Laid over the far side. Now possession for Coach Pagano's side. That slithers into the middle of the defensive zone, and Capurso will take hold of that one. Something that Fort Lee has done and done quite well at the beginning of this season has been able to deposit goals in the back of the net. Again, 8 goals in their opener, 6 goals in a losing effort in their last game. Blandon, who again has the goal for Ridgefield Park that came off a corner. Play it forward. Goal scorer for Fort Lee getting dispossessed, as Shuki was not able to track that back, but now her teammate steals it away. Velate playing it up top. Here's Castro. Look at all the attention coming to her, and look how she is able to still just be a maestro on the ball. Wins the possession over to the near side, tips it to herself inside the box now. Falling backwards and nearly still snuck it in near post side. She was falling down to the turf, and even with her momentum carrying her backwards, she's still gone off an accurate display to the near post side that Capurso had trouble with. It's going to go out of bounds for a near corner. So Lacey Barick and Fort Lee with a chance now to stake themselves to their first lead. A tip, and that just was trickling around right in front of the goal line. And they're going to say stoppage. And are they saying that is a goal? You could hear the protest even from our side of the field by Amanda Lax, and I think they're saying that that crossed the goal line, and she is adamantly protesting that call. Right now, the officials have put up their hands in the air to say stoppage of time, and with the ball being put at midfield, it looks like that was a goal. So Fort Lee is credited with the goal. That's going to be the go-ahead tally and give them a 2-1 lead. And quite frankly, I have no clue who that goal would be credited to for Fort Lee, but the Bridgemen don't mind, and they take the lead. Might have been Castro getting the goal. Here she is now, advancing to that far side wing. Again, she had a ball that was dangerous inside, kept on deflecting around, but it looked like from our vantage point here in the press box that Ridgefield Park had enough to get it away from the goal line, and the ball did not fully cross the line. But the officials had the better vantage point certainly on the field, and they mark that as the go-ahead goal. So as we're coming up on 26 minutes left to go here in the first half, Fort Lee staked to their first lead of the afternoon. They've scored 2 unanswered goals to capture a 2-1 advantage. And again, Coach Amanda Lax, we could even hear her from this opposite side of the field. A turnaround shot by Castro just missed the mark, going over the crossbar and out of play. But we could hear Coach Lax been vehemently opposing what was that ruling on the field from the two officials, that was in fact a goal. So goal kick upcoming here for Ridgefield Park. They're in the midst of a road trip here. 4 consecutive fixtures on the road away from Ridgefield Park. They've started off the road trip with back-to-back losses against Dwight Morrow and Midland Park. They have Fort Lee here today and then travel on the 21st at Dumont before finally coming back home to take on Pascack Hills on September 23rd. As that's headed away out of play to the near side. Played up top. The Bridgemen playing it backwards, just trying to retain possession here and set up their formation. Here's So. Again, she's the main facilitator. Nice dribbling. She takes the shot from distance, and it curls just wide of the mark to the far left side. As she was trying to give it a go, she's got 1 goal on the season to go along with her 7 assists. Ridgefield Park typically elects to have one of their defenders handle the goalie kicks and the free kicks after it goes out of play. So now Ridgefield Park was trying to collect that possession in the midfield. Played over to the near side. Here's Gomero. Gomero had an assist against the Bridgmen last season. Played that out of bounds. The turnover will give possession back over to Fort Lee. To the feet of Castro. Trying to keep it in play just in front of the goal line. Trying to spin around a pair of defenders. As that will be last touch off of her, as she was trying to have it ricochet off a Ridgefield Park player, but it looks like initially the call by the near side official was for goal kick, but they're lined up for a corner kick. And I think this is where the lack of communication is starting to show. So it was last touch deflected off of Ridgefield Park, so it is in fact a corner, even though it looked like initially he was pointing towards the goal for a goal kick. So a set piece here for Fort Lee with the goalie out of the net, and that shot was a close one, went out of bounds to the near right side, and will go out of bounds once again for a goal kick. So this is kind of what has been the trend, certainly since 2016. Fort Lee administers a ton of pressure against Capurso and Ridgefield Park. As the Scarlets on their heels despite starting off this game with the initial goal and taking a 1-0 lead. Castro knocking down with her shins that bad clearance attempt. Castro takes the shot. Capurso saves it out of bounds to the far side, but now that's going to go out for a far side corner. So again, even though it wasn't official, I believe Castro was credited with that second Fort Lee goal. She was looking for her second of the game after being denied by Capurso. Off the corner, a tip-in attempt off the deflection. Just missed to the far left side. Will go out of bounds for a goal kick. That opportunity was being produced by Lucia Koretsky, number 24. Koretsky had a pair of goals in the loss in the home opener against Dwight Morrow last week. Good pressure again administered by Fort Lee. They force the turnover. To the near side. Good dribbling. Give and go. Trying to find Castro inside. That's deflected last touch off of the junior star for Fort Lee. And once again out of bounds as we're closing in on the midway point to the first half. Played to the near side and out of bounds. Will be a throw-in now. Again, after surrendering the opening goal of this game, it has been all Bridgmen since that point. They have produced 2 goals. They have made Ava Capurso very busy in her net. And this side of the field has clearly shifted and slanted in Fort Lee's favor. Ridgefield Park not garnering any real possession and possession time to speak of, and not even getting a chance to clear it past midfield because the Fort Lee backline defense has been aggressive in shutting off and choking off possession. So, try to split the defenders, got it knocked away, so it's going to be a throw-in here for Fort Lee with 19:40 and counting left to go in the first half. Trying to find Koretsky. Near side, that goes out of bounds. Last touch off of Fort Lee, so possession will go back over to Ridgefield Park. They finally trying to get it in and move past the midfield. Nothing coming easily right now for the visitors. Ridgefield Park in search of their first win of this brand new season. Fort Lee trying to get above 500 again after winning in their opener. Here's Castro, turns and fires. Ricochets off to the far side of the field. Fearon doing a good job of stepping up to win back that possession to the far side, as that will eventually be knocked out of play. Last touch off of Fort Lee, so it's going to be a throw-in for Ridgefield Park near their sideline. The 4 wins for Ridgefield Park last season came against Dumont, Elmwood Park, Lodi, and Weehawken. A 4-11 campaign. Fort Lee coming off a 6-9-1 season a season ago, where they finished 3rd in the Big North American Division, behind eventual league champions Dwight Morrow and runners-up Cliffside Park. Deflected straight up in the air. Barak is trying to get a handle of it. Taken away, Monteleone. And now a whistle sounds from the official on the near side. So the foul will go against Fort Lee, and it's going to be a free kick upcoming for the Scarlets. Emily Radburn was the one who tried to trigger that restart on the free kick. So, down the near side, Barak tries to win the foot race, but it goes out of bounds, as Shawnee Follis was also covering in on that area back in their back line for Ridgefield Park. Mia Monteleone, the sophomore, who had a goal against Midland Park recently. Got called for the handball there. Free kick here will be taken by Haley So she'll be in charge of the set piece. So with a good delivery right in the top of the box. Again, it bounced around inside. And now out of harm's way as Capersa will pick it up. That was close to maybe finding a hand, and there's a handball inside the box. It would have led to a penalty kick. A rare advance up the field here for Ridgefield Park. Outside of that initial goal that they scored off the corner, they just have not been able to even cross the middle of the field. Up top to Castro. Castro has time to set and fire and just misses it wide to the near right side. Castro is a threat any time that it reaches her feet. The way that she could quickly dribble to space and uncork a shot even when she's blind to the net. 15:40 and counting left to go here in a soggy first half. Again, the rain has subsided a little bit. It's still a steady mist, but not the type of rain that started to come down a little harder in the first opening minutes of play. Misplay on the pass, intercepted, and possession garnered by Fort Lee. Misplay on the far side, and Fort Lee was not able to track that one down. And again, I think that was the case of where the precipitation on the ball had it slip out of the player's hands, and then she just tried to quickly drop kick it down the other way. But possession will be awarded back over to Fort Lee. Under 15 minutes now left to go until halftime. 2-1 lead for the Fort Lee Bridgemen. 1-1 on the season, take on the Ridgefield Park Scarlets, 0-3-1. Thanks for joining us in the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel for our kickoff coverage of this 2023 Fort Lee girls soccer season. Again, the opening game of the season was supposed to be slated for a game here at the Sugarman Sports Complex against Paramus Catholic, but due to heat that was reaching over 90 degrees that day, the game was postponed. As that set piece is caught into the hands by Capurso. So with that game off the schedule, the Bridgmen actually started their season on the road at Dumont, won convincingly 8-1, and then just opened up their 2023 season here at home with that hard luck 7-6 high-scoring defeat against Dwight Morrow, the defending league champs. Played out of bounds to the far side, so it will be a throw-in the offensive end of the field here for Ridgefield Park. And a chance with one moment of brilliance to possibly deadlock this game at 2-2. Coming into today's game, through the first 4 games of the season, Ridgefield Park had only scored 2 goals in 4 games. They got off to a great start here with their opening salvo, but have since that time surrendered the last 2 goals in the contest. There's an opportunity right at the feet of Monteleone. And was not going to be able to get to it anyway. Might have been played in an offside position regardless, so would not have counted, as now Fort Lee sets it up on the free kick. Blandon played it forward as it comes back to her again. Ridgefield Park trying to track it down to the far side. As that centering ball actually caroms out of bounds to the far right post. Out of play, and it will go for a goal kick. As both teams relying on their defenders to handle the free kicks rather than their keepers. Played over to the near side. The one touch, though. Now here's So. So has that outlet pass deflected. Baric did a good job of winning back possession, trying to find Koretsky. Ridgefield Park stepping up that time. And their whistle that time, a long delay before we eventually found out the foul was going against Ridgefield Park. Olivia Kraut, number 28, was the defender who had an offensive player that was draped along her back, and that's what led to the foul being called against Ridgefield Park. Played forward. Koretsky trying to track it down. Quick kick in the near side by Valeria Acosta. Here's So. Trying to increase the lead here for Fort Lee, aiming for that far post side. It initially looked like it was going to be on target, but kept on precariously curving to the far left side and out of play. As Ridgefield Park prepares to get this back in the course of play. Knocked away as Valadares was trying to get to it. Here's So. Getting a touch of it was Castro, but not enough where she could vacuum up that possession at her feet to make the turn and go 1v1. Under 10 minutes now left to go here in the first half. It remains a 2-1 advantage for Fort Lee. Both teams scoring all 3 combined goals in the first 20 minutes of play. Nothing really doing since that controversial second goal of the game for Fort Lee that has staked them out to their current 2-1 advantage. Played out of bounds to the far side in front of the Fort Lee coaching staff and sideline. Still will be possession here for Ridgefield Park. as the misty rain starts to strengthen a little bit and come down a little harder than it was for the last 10 minutes. So, try to chip it forward. Good aggressive work there by Valadares. Played over to the near side. Baric was trying to get it to the near post side. Again, Capurso doing a good job of shifting herself to cover up that near side with 8.5 minutes left to go here in the first half. Goretzky going for a run on the far side wing. Still continue to go towards that end line. Curling ball. It was left out in front. Getting a piece of it was Baric. She just could not deflect that one forward. She was going to possibly have an opportunity at a one-time finish. It does deflect out of bounds. Last touch off of Ridgefield Park. So it's going to be another corner kick to be handled here by Baric in the near side flag. Looking for that advancer right down the middle and didn't get a clean look at it that time was Castro. Couldn't get any velocity behind what she was hoping to kind of chest that one in. Deflected, last touch off of Monteleone, and Ridgefield Park out of bounds to the near side. Good defensive work that time by Acosta, the junior. Taken to the near side, Velate. Doing an awesome job of getting through all that defense, and Capurso just had to handle that shot that was on target from distance. So Fort Lee with a couple of great opportunities trying to pepper the goalie and see if they could produce a third goal at least just before halftime and give themselves a little more breathing room. They lead by 1, 2-1. Coming up on 6.5 minutes left to go in the first. Acosta plays it forward over to the near side to Baric. Acosta will play it backwards. Now Ridgefield Park starting to administer a little more pressure going forward offensively, knowing that they have to start to win possession in the midfield as the rain starts to come down as hard as it's been so far here in this first half. Played over to the far side, and again, it trickles last touch, this time off of Fort Lee, so it's going to be a throw-in on the far sideline for Ridgefield Park. Outside of that early goal that gave Ridgefield Park a 1-0 advantage, very limited scoring opportunities for the Scarlets. Can't score if you don't have the possession. Fort Lee has been dominant in regards of possession. Now offside the call against Ridgefield Park, as a couple of the last remaining players in the offensive end did not find themselves behind that last defender. Castro trying to sniff out a final goal here just before the break. Here's Castro with a pair of defenders on her. Still dribbling, but eventually gets it stolen away. Acosta trying to play it right back up top. But her pass a little too long and off the mark. That'll go out for a goal kick. With 4:45 and counting left to go here until halftime. Rain's really starting to come down here at the Sugarman Sports Complex. Knocked down as that sent wide of the mark to the far side. Coach Pagano's got to be appreciative of the lead, but He knows that his team might be leaving a couple of goals off the board here in the first half. This is too close for comfort so far in the first half for his side. Looking for their first win of the season here at home. Here's a shot from distance and just missing to the right side, post side. Right now, the game-winning goal would be a disputed one at that. Ridgefield Park thought that they deserved better than what the referees had awarded, which was a goal they said had crossed entirely past the goal line. Played along the near side wing for Baric, who again can't get to it as the rain not slowing it down, but actually quickening that ball as it was going out of play. 3 minutes now left to go before halftime. So, try that one-timer kick on the top of the box. Went wide of the mark, though, to the far left side with 2.5 minutes left in half number one. Again, we play through these weather conditions all the time in the course of a fall season. The only thing that would necessitate a stoppage of this is any threat of lightning in the vicinity. You could play through rain, not like it's baseball or softball where this game would come to a conclusion at this point. Big North American Division contest as well. First of two meetings on the season between these two sides. They'll meet again later on October 12th at Ridgefield Park. Otuyelu was trying to get it up top. Kraut with the intercept. Have to be careful defending here. Kraut, the back heel, missed and actually connected on a foul. So getting a piece of Otuyelu was Olivia Kraut. Free kick upcoming now for Ridgefield Park. Again, they scored on a set piece and on a corner kick in this direction to get off to a quick 1-0 lead. 1:20 and counting. Otuyelu will handle the service here from the 30-yard line. Hits it right into the Fort Lee wall. And the Bridgemen clear it out of harm's way. Castro with a full field sprint, trying to track down the possession. Here she goes, trying to get around those last line of defense. Here's Castro stopping it. Could not control it, but it does deflect out of bounds off of Ridgefield Park. Last corner kick upcoming here for Fort Lee. Or no, they're going to say that it was last touched by Castro, so that'll go out for a goal kick. Emily Radburn, the senior defender, will take care of this free kick. Just down by So. Maybe one final advance up the field here for the Bridgemen. Can't keep it in bounds as that goes a little too long, not allowing Lacey Baric, the junior, to track it down in time. Final 10 seconds of the first half. Ridgefield Park will bleed as much clock as possible. They will not even kick it off to resume play. And 40 minutes of action are in the books, with Fort Lee on top of Ridgefield Park by a score of 2-1. Stick around, fans, as we'll be back for the start of the second half of play as you're watching Fort Lee women's soccer action here on Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. With the rain coming down steadily here, we're about to kick off our second half of action with Fort Lee on top 2-1 against Ridgefield Park in this second home game of the season for the Bridgemen, looking for their first win here at the Sugarman Sports Complex in 2023, trying to bounce back after a 1-goal defeat in a 7-6 shootout against Dwight Morrow their last time out. And for Ridgefield Park, they're trying to snap a 3-game losing skid. And they actually jumped out to an early 1-0 advantage after a goal produced by Andrea Blandon off a set piece gave the visitors a 1-goal lead. But then Fort Lee has responded with the last 2 unanswered goals in this contest to stake themselves out to a 2-1 lead. The first goal scored by Elda Shuki off of a rebound after a blistering shot was put on target by Alexa Castro. Then the second goal, I believe, is credited to Alexa Castro, and that was the controversial goal at that. It looked like Ridgefield Park had done enough to save that from going completely past the goal line, but then the officials deemed it to have been crossed past the goal line, and that led to the eventual goal despite the voiced protest of Amanda Lax, the head coach of Ridgefield Park. So with the umbrellas out in full force, and with both sides very wet, trying to get back here to the course of play, we are underway at the start of the second half here from Fort Lee. Dan Long, Dimitri Nanis, Kelly Lane, so glad that he could join us here for our debut broadcast coverage of this home slate of soccer for the girls' soccer team here at Fort Lee. You're going to have to think that it's going to be very difficult to try to throw in some of these passes once they've been deflected out of bounds. You could constantly see players from both sides just trying their best with their uniforms to dry off the ball before they try to throw it in. We even saw when it was a gentle rain coming down at moments in the first half that it was a struggle to hold on to the ball for the Ridgefield Park players. Castro was trying to get around a couple of defenders. She was so close to breaking free, and there's a lob shot attempt, and that didn't miss by much as that went out of bounds after Fort Lee was trying to chip it in up and over Ava Capurso. Capurso coming off a 12-save performance in the loss against Midland Park on September 16th. Lay it over to the far side. Here's Haley So. So with the eyes up, trying to find Castro. Fits that one in, and that was a little difficult to handle by Capurso, as she just did enough to hold on to it. Again, I think the best idea for Fort Lee, certainly going forward with this weather and the way that they've dominated possession, is just try to take as many shots as possible. You don't know how difficult it's going to be, especially for the goalies, to hold on to it. Something that could normally just be held easily might slither past the grip in this wet weather of the goaltenders. As that's played down. One back by Koretsky at midfield. Does a good job of sidestepping a defender. Playing it wide now to So. So with a good ball. And again, that goes right into the breadbasket of Capurso. She handled it cleanly, but you always have to throw as many players as you can at net in these type of conditions. You never know when a rebound's going to present itself. Gomero. Playing it up top. Valadares. Lost possession. One back. The Latte. Here's Koretsky. Low lining shot deflected. And that took a little bit of the velocity off it despite Capurso moving over to the right side of the net. She still had enough time to recover and win back the ball. Now along that far side, Monteleone trying to track down the possession, but she can't save it before it went out of bounds right in front of her far sideline. Will be a throw-in here for the defensive side of Fort Lee. And a violation there gives the possession right back over to Ridgefield Park. And again, another violation, this time against Ridgefield Park. So both teams struggling, as I just prefaced. It's going to be very difficult to hold on to the possession with their hands, as it looks like Fort Lee's player was trying to venture up that far sideline away from where the official originally wanted her to throw in. A steady, heavier rain now coming down. And now a whistle from behind. It's going to be a push call against Fort Lee, so that's going to lead to a free kick opportunity here for Ridgefield Park. So despite this dominance in terms of time of possession and shot opportunities in this game, Ridgefield Park fans is still only one goal away from drawing level. They trail 2-1. Emily Radburn, the senior, trying to get this one forward. Acosta trying to head it. Deflected in top in the front of the goal. Here's an opportunity for the Scarlets. It's still precariously in front. Clearance not able to get down the field and eventually deflects. And now the whistle, and was it offside the call? So now it's going to be a free kick awarded over to Fort Lee. Chested forward, that time by Gomero. Ball is loose again with the foot race. Fort Lee able to track it down. They'll deflect it just harmlessly out of bounds to the near side. But that was dangerous. Valadares was racing in after it, and she was trying to win that foot race to maybe give herself a chance 1v1 in the box. Good defending there by Joellen Rodriguez, number 18, as well as Livia Kraut came over to make sure that nothing was going to get in on target. And they just allow that to make its way out of bounds. To the near side, it was Shuki who had the first goal of the game for Fort Lee, taking back the possession. Gently plays it up top to Castro. Now Castro goes to work. Surrounded by a sea of red, but not daunted at all. Castro losing her footing as she tried to uncork a shot to the far side. Koretsky. Playing it over to the far side wing. On far side it goes, played forward. Nice move by Castro in the box, still with possession. Switching over to the right foot, takes the shot, fires. That one is ricochet, deflected off of Capurso. And she's still able to track it down before potentially surrendering a corner kick, as that was so close to then deflecting off of her last and then out of bounds past the end line. Rodriguez trying to play it forward. Certainly doesn't have the height advantage there, but still was able to track it down. Here's Haley So. So with a nice move with the captain's armband. Plays it to the center. Nice build up down the middle of the field. Latte. Playing it up top to Castro. Nice build up here for Fort Lee. Looking for the insurance goal to extend their 1-goal advantage. Castro playing it back to Koretsky. Koretsky into the top corner of the box. Again, looking for a little room. Playing it back. Chipped forward, and that one goes out of bounds to the far side. So an ambitious effort there for Fort Lee, not getting that one on target, though. And the rain starting to really come down. It is the heaviest it's been all game long. It started off as just a misting, but now it is really coming down here. as fans and even players trying to find cover. A couple of Fort Lee players huddled up underneath the umbrellas on the far side of the field, and anybody that has a hoodie is wearing one right now on the Ridgefield Park sideline. Koretsky to the far side. Sends it in again against Capurso. Sent over to the far side it goes. Monteleone tracks it down. She gets around that defender. That time, Valeria Acosta was dangerously being almost too aggressive, but Acosta bails herself out. Plays it forward now for Barak. Barak making a run to the far side. Stepping up, here's Barak again. Trying to be shouldered off the ball. Possession will be retained by Fort Lee. And due to the rain that continues to trickle down, if you're tuning in and watching, we will continue to broadcast here. We are going to be moving our camera vantage point from atop the press box that's in the elements to more inside to be safe. So again, for right now, you'll still be hearing me, and for right now, we'll be moving the camera back inside the press box. So it's more of a radio broadcast going on right now before we get the camera restarted. So correction, we are going to keep it on the outside as we're learning as everything's going on here. We have the necessary umbrella. Kelly Lane, ladies and gentlemen, not only the coach of the year in the Big North American Division girls basketball season, but also our intrepid camera person atop the press box. She came prepared with an umbrella, so we will venture on as you'll see the pictures on your screen. It shifted again throughout the course of this game from a mist to now steady rain. Here's Castro. She has steadily been coming on through the course of this game. Here's an opportunity. Takes the left-footed shot and just try to go diagonally to that far side corner. That would have been an absolute thing of beauty, especially considering these weather conditions, if she was able to find pay dirt there. All the momentum taking her over to the near post side, and with a rocket shot there, just missed that far right corner just by inches. Played forward, knocked down here. So, again maneuvering through the heart of the defense, playing it back. Up top, Velate. Might have come up on one of the Ridgefield Park players, but no handball called. Just under 28 minutes and counting left to go in regulation. It's a one-goal margin in this game. Fort Lee trying to make it 12 consecutive victories in this series against Ridgefield Park, and the Scarlets, on their other hand, are trying to snap that long losing drought and win for the first time since 2016. With the defender falling behind the play, here goes the service inside the box. Castro takes the shot, deflected down before it could get on target. Again, she couldn't get solid, clean footing. There's the shot. It takes a couple of bounces off of the slick turf, and Capurso will easily handle it. To the far side. Stepping up. Fort Lee defensively again. Just winning possession in the midfield. Not allowing any semblance of a build-up right now for Ridgefield Park offensively. The Scarlets have had limited opportunity to possess the ball as well as get shots. They actually took a 1-0 lead off of a corner kick. It deflected in front of the net and eventually was pounced on by Blandon. Here's Castro with a quick turn right down the middle of the field. Defender stepped up, but then it ricochets and deflects off a defender. Last touch. So it's going to be a corner kick now for Fort Lee in the far side flag. Prime goal scoring opportunity here for the Bridgemen to give themselves a little bit of breathing room and make this potentially a 2-goal margin. And in a game like this, with these weather conditions, you feel that a 2-goal lead might even be insurmountable today. Taken across the middle, was left right in front on the goal mouth, but got chipped out of play a little too far and wide. That was a great delivery on the service by Barak. Over from the far side flag, that was left right in front on a platter, but Fort Lee just couldn't get the accuracy that time with the elevation. Played to the far side, Barak again takes it down. Centering ball right into the breadbasket of Capurso. Barak had been doing a good job there, and now Fort Lee has to settle it down defensively. Here's Kraut. Played it up top into the midfield to So. So great anticipation on that pass. Even better anticipation in the backline defensive work there by Ridgefield Park. But the Scarlets never able to really generate a consistent counterattack so far today. Here's Castro. Chested down. Plays it forward to herself. Just couldn't get that last touch. It evaded her. Ball's loose, and neither player knew exactly where it was. Fort Lee accidentally playing it backwards. That's going to allow the breakout the other way from Monteleone. Monteleone takes the shot and scores! So a misplay initially by Fort Lee. The defensive play actually headed it backwards towards their own net. That allowed Mia Monteleone to have some running room down that far side flank. And then Monteleone still was able to get it past that last defender and shifted past Masaki Kasahara. And just like that, being kept alive in this game and kept around, Ridgefield Park has tied the score up now at 2-2 with 24.5 minutes left to go in regulation. Fort Lee trying to recapture the lead and come right back here. Here's a shot from distance that gets blocked away. And that's going to go out for a corner kick. So a corner on the near side. Or are they going to say that that was actually last touch off of Fort Lee? I don't know about that. It seems like from our vantage point that that definitely had deflected off a defender, but they said that went out for a goal kick. So my apologies. So 2-2 the score. Mia Monteleone, her second goal of the season. She had a goal in the last game for Ridgefield Park, the lone goal for the Scarlets against Midland Park. Now here she is again. She's trying to double her pleasure as she tracks it down to the far side. Kraut tracks her down defensively, plays it out of bounds to the far side, but the Scarlets building off of the momentum. They've somehow found a way to stay in this game. And now there's contact, and is that contact inside the box? If that is indeed contact inside the box, it looks like it's going to be a penalty kick awarded to Ridgefield Park. One official was pointing towards the spot, and it looks like it will be a penalty kick upcoming for Ridgefield Park, and that would allow the Scarlets to have an opportunity here to possibly recapture their lead. So after Fort Lee was in control here in a 2-1 margin, Ridgefield Park has scored to tie it up at 2-2. And now a golden opportunity here for the Scarlets at the spot to give themselves back the lead for the first time since it was 1-0. Nania Otuyelu will take this penalty kick. The shot and a goal! And Ridgefield Park has taken a 3-2 lead on the penalty kick finish. So Otuyelu had a goal against the Bridgemen last season. And what about this turn of events in this game with the rain coming down? Ridgefield Park has scored twice in a matter of minutes to take a 3-2 lead. Again, this Ridgefield Park side had 2 goals through their first 4 games. They have now scored 3 goals here this afternoon. Fort Lee's got to get their offensive game in gear. A long-distance effort again as Caperso ranges down low to make sure that doesn't slide in past her. Fort Lee's got to bring that pressure that they were displaying through most of the first half and find a little accuracy at the end of their shots now. As they trail for the second time in this game, Caperso once again quickly will come in to swoop in and scoop it up. As we're also closing in on the midway point of the second half, and again, in the blink of an eye, Ridgefield Park has taken a 2-1 deficit and have made it into a 3-2 advantage. Monteleone off an error by the back line, cashed in to make it 2-2, and then after drawing a foul in the box, Nadia Otuleyelu was able to cash in on the penalty kick. Fort Lee trying to avoid falling for a second consecutive match here at home and in league play. They are 1-1 in the Big North American Division. Dwight Morrow sitting atop the group, 2-0 in league play. Fort Lee, the only other team that have produced a win so far in league play this season. Good dribbling to the near side. Latte trying to pass it up top to Castro. Can anyone but Castro score? Castro doing a good job of moving around the defense. Doing a lot of dribbling. There's got to be some players or teammates cutting around her. Here's Velate, takes the shot with the left foot. And just missed wide to the near left side, goes out of play for a goal kick. 21-25 and counting left to go here in the second half. The rain coursing down, Ridgefield Park trying to snap an 11-game losing streak against Fort Lee. Here's So, one of the leaders, bringing it up the field into the box. So tracks down the possession to the far side. Koretsky tried to shift gears but got that knocked away. The far side again. Pinballed possession. Koretsky will draw the contact in the foul, so a free kick upcoming here for Cal Pagano's Fort Lee Bridgman. 20 minutes exactly left here in the game. Fort Lee trailing by 1, 3-2. Set piece being handled on the far side by Haley So. Delivers this one from distance, no chance. Airmailed high and wide and goes out of play for a goal kick. Again, Ridgefield Park scored off a set piece back in the first half to garner a 1-0 lead. Fort Lee would respond off a rebound with a finish to tie it up at 1-1. They would eventually have a controversial second goal that would stake them out to a 2-1 lead. And that's where the lead resided for a long time, with a lot of glorious opportunities just going by the wayside for Fort Lee. Ridgefield Park kept alive in this game. A misplay in the back line by Fort Lee led to a fast break goal. And then a penalty kick finish is right now the deciding blow. Still plenty of time for the Bridgemen. 18 minutes and change left to go. Koretsky. And for Ridgefield Park, a team that again last season surrendered 13 goals in 2 games against Fort Lee, they've done an exceptional job here defensively at limiting the scoring opportunities. Now here's a run behind the defense again by Monteleone. Monteleone makes the turn, but it goes out of bounds. She was not able to win it right around the goal line. And Fort Lee trying to quickly get back in the course of play here. As the rain starting to come down in the hardest fashion here this afternoon. It is pelting the players on the field here on this turf surface at the Sugarman Sports Complex. A misplay once again in the back line for Fort Lee, but they avoid disaster there. Kasahara will drop kick this one away. That'll get it to the midfield. Here's So. So's got the numbers advantage. Breaking down the middle of the field. Stopping on a dime, trying to ricochet that one off the defender. Ball's taken away. Barak. Here's So. So takes the shot and once again elevates too high as it goes out of bounds. And again, can't stress enough that in these really terrible playing conditions, you want to make the goalie make a save. Get it on cage. Get it on target. Aim low and even see what type of bounces it would take off of the slick turf. The shots just go high and wide. It's not challenging the keeper at all to make a save. Here's an opportunity. Playing at top, allowing that service to go through the middle, but Castro again was not in a position to collect that ball inside the box, turn and fire. 16-10 and counting left to go in this rainy second home game of the season for Fort Lee. Kraut missed it. This leads to a breakout, almost a 2-on-none. There's the shot and a goal for Ridgefield Park. Otuyelu, her second consecutive goal after the misplay defensively, and Fort Lee has now surrendered 3 straight goals. And the Scarlets have staked themselves out to their largest lead of the afternoon at 4-2. Nadia Otuyelu, the sophomore, with a pair of finishes. A penalty kick, and that time on the fast break. And now some serious work left to be done here for Fort Lee. The Bridgemen trail by 2, 4-2. As we're closing in on the final 15 minutes of regulation. September 16th, 2016, the last time that Ridgefield Park was able to defeat Fort Lee in girls soccer. They won that day 2-1 at home. They have suffered 11 straight losses to the Bridgemen since that point. And were outscored by a 13-3 margin a season ago. What a difference a year makes here. And now Ridgefield Park again trying to chase after it themselves. Andrea Blandon, who scored the first goal of the game for the Scarlets, trying to track it down. Good to see the momentum and also the confidence starting to grow on that visitor sideline. They are fully believing. Once Fort Lee took that 2-1 advantage midway through the first half, it was just utter dominance by the Bridgemen. But they squandered the opportunities to increase and build upon that lead. And Ridgefield Park, to their credit, stayed in this game. Now getting it down the field to Castro. Castro looking for an opening. Good dribbling display here. Can she get a shot on goal? Castro on the far side. Again, 3 different defenders on her. A sea of red, and now there's going to be a whistle and a stoppage here. And it looks like this might be a foul upcoming against Ridgefield Park. And if so, That would be a penalty kick opportunity here for Fort Lee and a chance for the Bridgemen to pull back to within one. And it looks like that's the case. And Alexa Castro will take the shot opportunity here for the PK. Castro with 11 goals on the season, 1 goal earlier this afternoon, with the chance to convert on her own penalty kick opportunity. Capurso in net, trying to be a hero. Castro easily slides it in right in front of that far post side, and Castro scores the first second half goal for Fort Lee, and the Bridgemen back to within one at 4-3. So Castro scores her second goal of the game, her 12th goal of the season. The Bridgemen are on the board for the first time here in the second half after Castro took it herself, drew the contact in the box, drew the penalty kick. And now again with 14 minutes left to go in regulation, it is a 4-3 lead for Ridgefield Park. Time starting to become a factor here. Up top, here goes Castro again, right down Broadway. Shifting gears as that is popped to the far side. Fort Lee, though, not able to keep it in play as that goes out of play. Will be a resulting throw-in now for Ridgefield Park, who are going to be trying to desperately salt away this victory. Ridgefield Park, again, as we've seen throughout the course of this game, even when it was a missed, struggling to just throw the ball back into play. Will that penalty kick finish give a little momentum and a little shot of adrenaline here to the Bridgemen in the second half? Here's Castro again, getting tripped up, but that time cleanly. Here's Rodriguez. Fort Lee trying to charge ahead forward. Deflected down. Back to the midfield. All the way down. Kashihara will take care of it. And there's a whistle also with a player down behind the course of play near the midfield. One of the captains, Livia Kraut, the senior. As the time is frozen, 12:21 left to go here in the second half. Again, it's been a very rainy and soggy day here in Bergen County. The rain kind of held off an hour before the game, and then when the game started, a little bit of a mist started to develop, and then the rain had gotten heavier. It's starting to subside a little bit as Livia Kraut will gingerly make her way off the field with Fort Lee athletic trainer Tom Herr. 12:21 remaining here for Fort Lee, trying to avoid a loss in their second home game of the season. They won 8-1 in their opener at Dumont. The Bridgemen trailed by as many as 2 goals here in the second half. Ridgefield Park have exploded for 3 goals in the second half after being held to 1 goal in the first half. Latte playing it up top. Here's Castro. Castro turns and fires and trying to go for the near post side. Just missed wide. That goes out of play for a goal kick. 11:45 and counting now left to go here in this game. Good to see Kraut back onto the field after briefly having to sub off with an injury she sustained in the midfield. Goes right back to her upon her re-entry into the game. Fort Lee has to have that sense of urgency. Just over 11 minutes left to go in the contest. Ridgefield Park trying to work its way up the near sideline. Radberg trying to dry off the ball, also waste a little time as well. Trying to turn with it was Shuki, and what's the foul call going to be? Is it going to be against Fort Lee? And it looks like it is. They're going to say that it was a hook call, as Elda Shuki was holding on to the Ridgefield Park player when she tried to turn around to get to that possession. So Radburn will settle over the ball now with a set piece. A free kick. Under 10.5 minutes left to go in the second half. Radburn will send it the distance. That could be trouble. Was bouncing around a couple times in the box and eventually cleared out of harm's way by Fort Lee. As we come up on the final 10 minutes of regulation. Played up top, Castro again trying to maneuver through a host of different defenders. Hard defensive work in the midfield. To the far side, deflected down. Here's a shot. Capurso, though, will be up to the challenge on the chip shot. Now this will be drop kicked away. Over to the far side. Fort Lee trying to turn and center that ball, but again, it goes out of play. 8:55 and counting left to go here in the second half. Ridgefield Park trying to close in on a elusive victory and beat Fort Lee for the first time since 2016. Ridgefield Park also trying to pick up their first win of 2023, also in the process. Fort Lee trying to rally here from 2 goals down in the second half. They've picked up 1 goal in the second stanza via the penalty kick conversion by Alexa Castro. Good dribbling here by Koretsky, getting into the box, taking that shot, deflected out in front. And Ridgefield Park will now try to clear it. Over to the far side. Scarlets again trying to break out with the counterattack. Fort Lee standing up at the midfield. 7:50 and counting left to go here in regulation. That far side, here comes the advance up the field. Castro trying to get a backheel flick of it, but does so right to the opposing goalie. Send forward. So knocking it down. So playing it up top. Here's Castro. Castro turns and fires, and that one just whistled wide of the far post side. 7 minutes and counting left to go here. Castro tries to get the ball right back to Capurso to resume play a little quicker. She's feeling like a little more time wasting is going on here for Ridgefield Park that's costing valuable seconds to her side. Amelia Gutierrez has come on to the field as a sub, the sophomore midfielder for the Scarlets, number 1. Head coach Amanda Lax trying to solve this riddle and finally defeat Fort Lee for the first time in quite some time, in 7 years' time. As that goes out of play again, goes out for a goal kick. Played down the middle of the field. Kraut will settle it down. Play it to So. So makes the turn. So in the open field. Plays it back to Koretsky. Koretsky going forward. Almost got it into the offensive box. Knocked away. So playing it wide now. Fort Lee with the possession. They can't get the shot opportunities though, as it harmlessly rolls into the midst of Capurso. 5.5 minutes now left to go, as we're back to a misting rain here at the Sugarman Sports Complex. On the far side, again a through ball. Capurso anticipates, steps up in the top of the box to scoop it up, as we come up on the final 5 minutes of action. Ridgefield Park just trying to win possession in the midfield. Another defender falls down for Fort Lee. Here's an opportunity for the Scarlets. They take the shot and it just hooks wide of the mark. And that'll go out for a goal kick. Another injury timeout here as Kraut once again is labored. Time is stopped, 4:43 remaining. Fort Lee running out of time, running out of opportunities here. Trying to get it to Castro. That's a good formula for success. Castro takes the shot. Far post side, awaiting that offering was Capurso. She's been solid in the last 10 minutes or so since she allowed that penalty kick. And now a yellow card has been shown, and shown to the best player and the best scoring opportunity for Fort Lee. So she must have been saying something after letting that shot fly. So that is going to be detrimental, certainly to the rallying cause of the Bridgemen. She will have to come off the field for the time being after being shown the yellow. 4:23 left to go in this game, and now without the dangerous Castro on the field, life becomes a little easier here for Ridgefield Park in their hopes of pulling off the road win. Now the offense has to come from someone else here for Fort Lee, and that pass a little too long. As that goes down the other way, right now we've lost our camera picture again because of the constant rain. So I'll just try to take you home here with the final 4 minutes and change left to go in this one. 4-3 lead for Ridgefield Park on top of Fort Lee. Trying to come here and snap an 11-game losing streak against the Bridgemen. A brilliant performance in the second half have put the Scarlets in position here to pull off the road victory. They were down 2-1 at halftime. They scored 3 in a row to grab a 4-2 advantage, and now currently reside at a 4-3 lead. 3:20 and counting left to go. There'll be a throw-in the far side now for Fort Lee as they go from right to left. Again, we're without our camera right now due to the constant rain that have been going around it. Otuleli in the midfield. Now Ridgefield Park trying to go from left to right, but it's stolen away by Koretsky at the 30-yard line. Koretsky dribbling it up between a host of different defenders. Here's Haley So from distance, and that's going to be bobbled initially, but then secured by Capurso. 2:45 and counting left to go here in the second half. Capurso holding on to it. She'll drop kick it away from her zone. Get it out to the midfield. Trying to track it down to the far right side of the field is Acosta. 2.5 minutes left to go in this valiant effort here for Fort Lee to grow level here and at least come away with a tie. They have possession their side of the field. Now dribbling it up to the midfield. At the 50-yard line. Here comes Velate. 2:15 and counting left to go. Velate is stood up and around the 30-yard line. And now it's going to be a foul whistled against Ridgefield Park. A free kick upcoming at around the 40-yard line here for the Bridgemen. 2 minutes left to go. Velate will stand over the ball. Still take a little more time before she uncorks this one. It's lined up at the 39-yard line. Velate puts her left hand in the air, takes that offering. Headed at the top of the box, knocked down to Castro, who's come back onto the field. Did not have an opportunity to turn around and fire. Instead, it's loose to the near side at around the 30-yard line. Ridgefield Park will just slowly slide it up to the midfield. Taken to the midfield now with 90 seconds left to go in the game. Fort Lee playing it forward. Nobody on their end. Will take one bounce into the waiting hands of Capurso. So Capurso will hold on to it and now drop kick it away. Near midfield and trickling all the way back to the Fort Lee 20-yard line. 1:09 and counting left to go as crowd collects it to the Fort Lee 20. Bridgman have to build it back up to the middle of the field. Give and go as Fort Lee struggling with possession at the 50. 57 seconds and counting. Now played along the near side to the 20-yard line. Into the scoring area goes Shuki. Now to Castro. Castro with two different defenders on her. Goes around. It's now bounced around. Ricochets off her into the hands of Capurso. 39 seconds and counting left to go with the light towers shining brightly on. Played over to the far side, cleared away. Again, Fort Lee wasting some time trying to track it down. It goes all the way out of bounds. 25 seconds left to go. They'll have a throw-in at around the 30-yard line. This might be the final chance of the game here for Fort Lee. Ridgefield Park knocks it out of bounds near midfield. Once again, it's 13 seconds left to go. Ridgefield Park, after waiting 7 years, are cluing in on a hard-earned victory. 5 seconds left to go, and the celebration will commence. And Ridgefield Park, for the first time since 2016, have knocked off and defeated Fort Lee. This time by a final score of 4-3. The Scarlets get their first win of the season. They improve to 1-3-1 on the season, 1-1-1 in league play, while Fort Lee will fall to 1-2 on the season and also 1-2 in the Big North America Division. So that'll do it for our broadcast coverage here from a soaked Sugarman Sports Complex here in Fort Lee, New Jersey. The final score, Ridgefield Park 4 and Fort Lee 3. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of Fort Lee Girls Soccer Action. We'll see you for our next broadcast on Wednesday afternoon at Fort Lee for Fort Lee Bridgman Volleyball. Take care, everybody.